Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am so excited today to be talking to a good friend of mine, someone who I admire, who has so much to lend to the world of education, Trevor Mackenzie. Trevor, thank you for being here. Please introduce yourself to everyone.
Thank you, my friend. It's an honor to be here with you all virtually. I am Trevor. I am a high school practitioner in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. I suppose you can say I teach from an inquiry stance. I'm an inquiry practitioner. And so I've spent the majority of my career researching inquiry-based learning and identifying what the barriers are to implementing inquiry. So that's the focus of my teaching practice, the focus of my sharing. I have a few books out on the topic of inquiry, and I travel the world supporting schools in implementing inquiry practices. Very honored to say that. It's humbling to say that. And of course, now in this time of remote distance learning, I'm doing all this work from the comforts of my dining room. So welcome to my home, everybody. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you. And certainly we can all say that, can't we? And it has been so great to meet you in our travels from time to time.
Absolutely.
So there are so many things we can talk about. I could probably, and I do whenever I see you, talk to you and talk to you and talk to you. But today specifically, I would love to chat with you a little bit about how you use Instagram. I have noticed that you are using Instagram Live for podcasting, and I noticed that you use highlights in Instagram for provocation. So, our listeners, our cohorts for Empowered Digital Leaders are looking at how do I use Instagram without it being too onerous and in the service of teaching and learning. And so let's start with your podcast. Why don't we do that? Talk to me about why Instagram Live for your podcast?
For a lot of reasons. One reason is it's incredibly easy, and I don't want to make more work for myself. I want to work smarter, not harder. And, I've always been intrigued by the idea of an inquiry podcast. And Instagram Live is just really, really intuitive. It's easy. I like being able to see who I'm speaking to. Like, it's so nice to be able to see your face and have a conversation. And so, Instagram Live, my co-author, Rebecca Bathurst-Hunt, and I started this kind of interview show or talk show, if you will, where sometimes Rebecca and I have an open, honest conversation. It's roughly an hour long about, inquiry in our practice. And sometimes we invite educators from around the world to be a guest where we question them about their inquiry practice and their kind of educational philosophy, if you will. And I'm really big on equity, creating, flattened conversations with educators around the world that are free. I think that's really intriguing. I think it's really important. And Instagram Live allows me to do that, allows me to invite someone on and have a really honest, open conversation, but also invite everybody to come and be a part of that conversation and not just listen in. They could participate in the chat, and then it lives on asynchronously. Like, we do that sync live session where we talk shop and we share and we kind of riff off one another. And then that becomes an archived async artifact that lives and breathes on. And sometimes we may only have 50 or 100 people watching the live, but then over the course of the next week, a few thousand people will go and watch that live. And that's amazing when you could flatten out, not just through a free platform, but that asynchronous offering that lives on and breathes on. So I suppose Instagram Live has been really fun for me in that it's easy, working smarter, not harder, and it's free. And it truly invites everyone to be a part of that conversation. And as you do, Jennifer, we meet so many amazing teachers that I want to introduce other teachers to. And I think that's part of our responsibility, is it to almost be a networker and connect dots when we see them happen. I met an educator in Holland, and, you're in New Jersey, and you need to connect. And that's part of our responsibility as, authors and educators that have this platform. So one way I'm trying to flatten that pathway out is through Instagram Live. Absolutely.
And I love that. And it never even occurred to me, but it makes so much sense. So if I'm participating in your podcast, I'm listening, I'm contributing, and I've seen other people contribute, it's really easy for me to just follow them. And then they become part of my network. I love that. And then does it get stored in your highlights for people who are new to this? Where when you say it lives asynchronously, where does that live?
Yeah, so on my Instagram feed, on anyone's Instagram feed, when we're visiting your I guess, homepage of your Instagram, there's a beautiful TV icon right above your feed, right in the middle. And that's your Instagram TV. So any videos that you create that are longer than a minute, you could store there. So all of our Instagram live conversations get stored to that IGTV. And since I split, I kind of, balance out these offerings with my co-author. Some of them are stored on her Instagram TV and some of them are stored on mine. But that predominantly is where the most amount of views come from, is in that async archived artifact where people can go and watch at their leisure, which I think is really important. This is a global conversation, not just education, but inquiry. And we have inquiry practitioners from around the world, and we try to change the time of the offering up. Sometimes it's at 9 a.m., sometimes it's midday Pacific time, sometimes it's evening Pacific time, because we want educators from around the world to connect with one another, but with us. And we just can't simply hit every time zone. So the fact that it can live on asynchronously, again, it's really, really equitable. And we're connecting educators in spaces that are from different contexts, different realities, but kind of unifying questions, right? Unifying challenges and barriers that we're encountering. And this offering allows us to support one another and learn from one another, which is really rich.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And as you speak, I'm waking up at 4 a.m. my time on Saturday to have a session with our teachers. So
crazy. Yeah.
Time zones, gotta love them, right?
And I should say, Jennifer, it does live on in my highlights as well. So, the highlights is just a nice, quick and easy space at the top of our Instagram feed where, visitors, guests can go and tap different curated, I guess, resources or conversations that we've placed there for them. And absolutely, there's an Instagram live. We call it Inquiry Live. There's an Inquiry Live highlight where teachers can go and just tap and find some of the things that we've curated for them. So I utilize the highlights and that IGTV archive space for sure.
Beautiful. And that lends well to the next, or segues well to the next question, which is how you use, or why and how you use those highlights for provocations.
Yeah, provocations are a beautiful thing. In the inquiry landscape, provocations are really rich and engaging entry points into our curriculum. They could be vivid images or compelling videos, striking GIFs, even compelling statements or texts. And so, maybe about a year ago, I started to use Instagram more to share these really neat resources, because Instagram allows these resources, these provocations, to show so beautifully as they should be used in the class. And I had been curating these in my work with my students and my work with schools around the world. And I thought, I should just be sharing these on Instagram. And so it's not just a platform that shows beautifully, that allows these provocations to reach an audience. It also allows, people who are really keen on these provocations to save them to their own collection. So for example, Jennifer, if you see a provocation that I posted, there's a really nice save icon right underneath the post. You tap it, you save it to your own collection, and you could be curating provocations from across Instagram, not just from my feed. And that just really makes it easier for teachers who are trying to bring this good work to their students. Every time I make a provocation post to my feed, I add it to my story, and then it goes directly to my highlight. So teachers who are visiting don't have to scroll through hundreds of posts on my feed. They can just go right up to the highlight and see all these really engaging provocations. And again, the point of the provocation is to strike wonderment and curiosity in our students. So we have them kind of eating out of the palm of our hand as they enter the curriculum. Rather than curriculum as something we cover, it's something we explore and we discover. And so provocations allow that to happen. And Instagram undeniably has been, I suppose, the most powerful way for me to share those with teachers. And I love Twitter. Don't get me wrong, I could go on and on about how much of a fan I am of Twitter, but Instagram is built around, sharing beautiful things, photos, GIFs, and text even. So I just feel like it's a platform built for this type of sharing, and then allows teachers to save it to a collection of their own.
And I have to say, I've never been to Australia, but I have all of your provocations from those beautiful beaches saved on my own highlights. So, and it's not hard to do. I will actually add, I created a little bit of video tutorial about how to do that. I may have actually used yours as an example, but I'll make sure to include that with this. Trevor, thank you for taking the time to chat with us about how you use Instagram. I really appreciate it. I always enjoy speaking with you. congratulations on getting your master's. Yay! That's something that you and I share. And I so appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much for having me. And as always, I appreciate my time with you. You're just a gem. So thanks for hosting, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.